Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be part 3 of the Solar Fox. The first thing I want to do to this cabinet is take that power supply out of there, and we are going to add wires to the converter board for the power supply on these MCR games so that I can mount it to the inside of the cabinet rather than it dangling off of the power supply. I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. I got to adjust these leg levelers still. Also, I sent the board out. Somebody had messaged me on one of my videos when I was having audio problems. So I sent the board to him last week, and he had it fixed and back to me within like 3 or 4 days. So that was awesome that he did that. I'm not going to share his name because I don't know if he does repairs for people or not, or if he just does it for himself. So I don't want to throw him out there if, you know, he just does it for his own personal stuff and he was just helping me out. You know, I don't know. So let's take off this back door real quick here. Try to get a light in here. I could probably go get my spotlight, which I don't need right at this moment, but let's lower down this tripod here. I did bring the control panel in the house for now so that we can test the game. And then obviously I got to pull apart the control panel and clean up the metal and paint it and put the new overlay on it. The new overlay came last week from this old game, so I do have that. So once I get that taken care of, I can, you know, do a pretty quick turnaround on that. So there's the board right there, and they have it screwed directly to the power supply. So I want to change that, and of course I forgot my screwdriver. So let me go grab my screwdriver. Okay, so I'm going to get this out of here. I'm probably going to be in the way of the camera, but... And then also we need to mount this back to the bottom of the cabinet, and then we need to make a upper mount for the PCB. I'm gonna have to look around in here and see if I can tell where it was mounted. We've made a couple of those upper mounts before. We made one for Tapper and for Journey. It's just an L bracket that I bend, and then I cut a piece of wood with the grooves in it, just like this. So we can use this as my template for where the grooves go. I believe the power supply goes over here, the original power supply. Usually on these MCR games, there's a board right here, and that's where the PCB mounts. But somebody replaced the bottom of this cabinet already. So does that mean I don't see any evidence of it having a board going across there, which is odd, because I thought they all did, but I could be wrong. I got a vacuum in here. It's a little dusty in here. A couple screws in there I got to get. I'm not seeing where the PCB was mounted. Maybe it had to be over here then. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to, maybe I can go online and find some pictures, or if anybody has one of these cabinets and can send me a picture of where the PCB mounted originally, that would be awesome. I mean, maybe there was a board, but I'm not really seeing any holes that would show that it was mounted to the side of the cabinet, the piece that went across it. I am seeing screw holes, you know, all around here, all in this area, but I don't know. So let's get this power supply undone. We're going to unplug this. They had that power supply plugged into the service plug, which is if you your game is always on then, and they had one of these in there. So we're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna change that to the right way. So let's get this off of here first. Let's unplug these plugs. But this is why I don't want to leave it. I think that's a horrible, just flops around like that. Like, I'm afraid to even unplug those before I unscrew this. They're not even tight, the screws. Okay, now we can unplug this. Now we can go solder 5 wires onto these 5 terminals. I'll probably just leave the power supply where it's mounted. I'll put another screw down here so that it's nice and straight. And then we need to get power for the power supply. We're gonna have to make a new plug for the monitor too, because somebody kind of hillbillied that together, but we'll get that straightened out. But I need to figure out where I'm gonna get power from, because we need neutral, or we need the line, the neutral, and the ground. So I got to figure out where I'm going to grab that power from. The easiest place to splice into, to where it's not going to look horrible. We're going to put terminals on these ends and everything, because look at that, they just shoved them in there. That's dangerous, because if you have a little fray of wire that somehow makes it into the terminal next to it, you're just going to short it out. So, all right, let's go get this soldered up first. I'm just going to mount this right here, and then we can run it to there. And then our power, I'm trying to see where I want to splice it into. I mean, we should have 3 wires going up to the marquee, which we also have to get a fixture for that. Okay, blue, brown, and yellow and green stripe. I might just have to take it off of this. Might just have to cut these 3 wires, splice in new wires, and go over to the power supply to get power. So let's go and solder these on first and get this all taken care of. Okay, I'm letting the solder gun heat up for a couple minutes. I did bring the bubbles cabinet down here. It's just sitting at the bottom of the steps for now. That's the monitor for it over there. In this box right here, Mr. Wolfie over there, he is guarding these parts. These are a complete board set for the bubble cabinet, so now we don't have to run that other that board's not right. I don't know why they have that board, but all the boards are there for bubbles, so we can run original hardware now. We don't have to run the JAMA board, and I do have a harness for it. I still have to order the glass for it. So now, wait for the solder gun to heat up for a minute, and then we can get these wires done, and then we will move on to putting this in, and then putting the circuit board in there. We'll just have to kind of lay the circuit board in there. I don't have any way of mounting it yet, but that's fine. And then we can power it on, see if we have sound, check the controls and all that stuff. Okay, let's cut some wire here. We have 5 connections, 2 grounds. Okay, got interrupted there. Okay, so we have 5 terminals. 12 volts, -5, ground, and +5. So I always use the same colors that a JAMA harness uses, because I just remember those colors in my head. So I use yellow for 12 volts, I use blue for -5, black for ground, and then I use red for +5. So by me doing that, I always remember what I need, or where they go, especially when I'm plugging into a switcher. So we're going to take, we're going to make 5 wires all the same length. I need to get some zip ties too after I get these soldered on and stuff. So we need 2 blacks that are the same length. There's 3. Need a yellow or a red and a blue. And this is all 16 gauge wire. I bought these on Amazon, all 4 spools. And then I have some green here, which I don't remember. I probably got that at the parts store or something. I don't know what I was using that for. Oh, for ground wire for the one cabinet. And we still have a lot to do on this Solar Fox cabinet. We still have to paint the control panel, fix and paint the coin door, speaker grill, get a marquee light, T-molding. So there's a lot to do. And there is no free play setting or chips for this board that I believe. I don't think he was able to put free play on them. So I might have to install a credit button on the coin door, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. I got an idea, but I'm not sure how that's going to work yet. So let's strip these, try to strip them all about the same length. If you have a strippers like this, you can set this by sliding this back and forth, and it'll give you all the same length on your wires. So long as your wire touches the yellow, they'll all be the same length. We'll just, I guess we'll strip both sides so that we're just done with it. Sometimes wire likes to get stuck in there, and then if it's stuck in there, it doesn't want to strip. I don't know why it does that. Okay, everything's stripped. I just like to twist them. Oh, I forgot to strip a black one. Hopefully the camera's pointing in the spot you guys can see. I better get up and look. Make sure here. Okay, that's good. All right, now we're going to start soldering these onto these terminals. These can be a little bit of a pain to solder. Let's tin the wire first. We'll just put some solder on the end of each wire. Just on the one side. You could do both sides actually. It'll make it easier to go in the crimp connector. There's our first one. Also, you have to pay attention to what power supply you have, because these 5 terminals are different than the 5 over here. This starts with a plus 5 or 12, then it goes negative ground, ground, positive 5. This over here starts with a negative 5, plus 12, plus 5, ground, ground. So make sure you pay attention to that before you go sticking it in your switching power supply. But I recommend soldering these wires to it. I just think it works better. adding a little bit more just to kind of cover over the top of the wire. And I'm kind of touching the soldering gun with it rather than heating up the whole wire again, because if I heat up the whole wire again, I'm just gonna loosen it off of the circuit board again. All right, so we have our negative and -5 and our +12. So now we gotta do our 2 grounds. Helps to blow on it. This one's already done. Okay, got those on. I think we're good. We don't need to solder these sides. All right. Now we're gonna put these terminals on the end. We're gonna use the pink ones, and these have heat shrink tubes on them. So after we crimp them on, we just can heat shrink it together, or the tube onto the wire. You could buy these kits of terminals from Amazon, and I buy different ones. I have the fork ones, I have the circle ones, I have butt connectors, speaker terminals, male and female, spade connectors. So basically I just buy all the kits so that I have them, and they're really nice to have because I really like to heat shrink everything. Just looks cleaner, and it's just a little bit better. It's sealed, you know what I mean? Obviously, we're not worried about water or anything, but if you were to use these on a car, that would definitely help as well, because it's going to seal the wire to the, you know, where it's crimped together, rather than moisture getting into it. Okay. You can use a heat gun too. Might have to add more butane to that. Not sure if it's dying or not. Try not to hit your wire casing too much because it definitely tends to brown it. Starts to burn it. Heat gun would probably be a better bet, but I gotta buy another one. I have a cordless one, but it doesn't last that long. It's a Ryobi one, and those Ryobi batteries don't tend to last that long. Okay, so now we have all those heat shrinks done on them. So now we can get a couple zip ties and let's zip tie these together. But first, let's put some standoffs on this board so that we can mount it to the wall. Need to buy more of these. And I'm gonna need a screwdriver. Maybe. Sometimes you could put these on without a screwdriver. Sometimes these come screwed up, the threads. Like plastic gets in the nut that they encase into here. Yep, I got that one tight. There's a little nut that they put in there that they encase inside the plastic. And sometimes some plastic will get stuck in the threads and you won't be able to use it. All right, let me go grab some small zip ties. And then the only other thing we need to make is a power wire for the power supply. Okay, let's get these zip tied and then we'll make the power wire. Kind of hard working with only one index finger. I split that open again yesterday, so it's going to take a long time for that to heal. Do one more. Okay, this is ready to get mounted into the cabinet. Put that off to the side. I have a piece of power wire here that I usually use for my plugs to run new wire to the cabinet. Forget what gauge this is. I want to say this is 16. Yep, 16.3. So let's strip the one side, and then we're going to put terminal ends on it so that it can go into the power supply. We're not going to do too much on this video. I just want to get the game up and running because there's so much to do. I want to figure out where the PCB mounts and get that mounted in there correctly, get the control panel done and all that stuff. So I just want to get it up and running. and then we'll go from there. Where I don't have the original marquee light, but I do have a couple marquee lights from maybe like an old racing cabinet or something like that, so we'll use that. I'm not going to spend $50 for a used fixture if I can even find one anymore. Okay, we'll splice these or strip these and we'll put ends on them. Stupid wires. Shut that before I stab myself. Now these wires are a little bit thicker because they're 16 gauge. Actually, those are 16 too. These just have a heavier casing on them. But I think the pink ones will still work. Red, pink, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, it says red goes from 16 to 22 gauge, blue goes from 16 to 14, and yellow goes from 12 to 10. But I think these kits are only like $30-some, and you get quite a bit of stuff in it. Okay, those are on. Now this side, we're just gonna splice these ends, cut it back a little farther, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna splice them into the cabinet. And I think I'm just gonna use these connectors, but I'm gonna use butt connectors. And we'll just crimp them and heat shrink the tube. That'll hold it really well. We could solder them, but I think we'll be just fine with the crimp connectors. Trying to cut this somewhat straight. Okay. I'm going to splice these ones a little bit longer, or strip them a little bit longer. Okay, now we can go over to the cabinet, get these spliced into the wiring, and then plug everything in, screw that in, and then we're ready to put the board in, and we'll give it a shot. Test, see what it does. So I'm going to go get set back up over by the cabinet, and then we will get this finished up. Okay, let's splice into these wires. First, ow. Try to figure out I believe blue is our goes to black. Blue and a white stripe, and then there is a brown and a white. Trying to look here. I know this is ground. This goes to green, so let's cut this one. I normally don't cut into these, but it'll be all right. You know, I forgot my torch. believe blue is going to be a good size. Yep. Get yourself a good set of crimpers where it has a nice deep notch to really crimp it together. So, I mean, you can pull on that, it's not falling apart. We're only going to crimp one side for now. We have a blue and white and a brown and white here. I wish I knew what's what. I'm pretty positive the blue is the black. I don't know that it really matters, but it might. I'm trying to look, but can't really tell. We'll go with blue to black. I'm pretty confident on that, which means I'm probably backwards. It should still work just fine. And we're gonna, once we hook all this up, we'll check the power supply before we plug in the board. Even though I know it's right from the last time we used it, but still, because we monkeyed around with it, we'll just double check. I don't need to blow up the board set by being lazy and not checking it. I like to twist the two together first. Now, if you want to solder these, what you could do is you can take your knife, cut the casing only, strip the casing back, take your wires from this, wrap it around that wire and solder them together. But then you got to try to get some heat shrink on it, or you have to like electrical tape it, and it usually doesn't look that good. So I don't mind using these crimp connectors because I know that once I melt that insulation onto the wire, it's on there pretty darn good. Just double checking. Because there's like a brown and orange, and I want to make sure that the brown and orange, I don't even know where the heck the brown and orange goes to. Huh. Oh, it switches, I think. I don't know where it goes to. Maybe to the marquee light. What I'm using the wire colors off of the light for the black light plug. I can see it right up there. We got to reattach some of these wires in the cabinet and stuff like that as well in the future episode, because everything's kind of just like half-assed thrown in here. Okay, pull on them, make sure they're nice and tight. Put our other ends in, then we can heat shrink them. I'm gonna go grab my torch, which I forgot. Oh, you know what? I should have grabbed my multimeter while I was up. What I'm trying to do is kind of keep those other wires away from this flame. You can see how tight that goes. And once that dries, it really kind of stiffens up around the wire. Or cools rather than dries. Okay. And I don't really think that looks all that bad. Once it's strapped back in and everything, doesn't look bad at all. Run this over to our power supply. Let's put our last screw in the power supply because it was missing a screw. They just had it flopping around. So this was flopping around, and then the board is just bouncing on those terminals. I really like using these 1/4-inch head screw nuts, nut driver, or nut, I don't even know what they call them. But I like using them because the nut driver has a magnet in it, so it's nice. It holds it there. You don't have to worry about it falling. You can magnetize your Phillips bit, but it doesn't always work that well. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to try to move this to a point where the wires are not super long. Make sure it's not too long. Should be plenty. These are only 3/4-inch screws, so we're fine because the plastic's almost a 1/4 inch. Try to make that somewhat straight. I'm sure you'll agree with me. I mean, that's a nice solid fit now. Nice solid connections. So now we got to put them onto the power supply. See, on this power supply, it just says AC. It doesn't even tell you which one's supposed to be your black and your white wire. So I guess it really doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to just kind of put this, when I screw this back in, I'm going to kind of make it nice and neat. So let's do, guess I'll put white in the middle. Black, and then our ground. My head's probably completely covering it. So there we go. Okay, got those hooked up, so now we have power to the power supply. Our first terminal is +5, which is our red. Then we should go ground. Yep. You always want to double check yourself. This drill's a little bit over powerful. A little bit too powerful for what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to be careful with it. I don't want to break it off or anything. And then -5, which is our blue. And then our 12 volts is our yellow. Okay, now we tighten those two screws up. Okay, let me go grab my multimeter. I'm just going to take a reading off it right here. That's fine. This has already been set, but we're just going to double check. I'm going to get this plugged in and we'll do that reading. Okay, let's get this cabinet plugged in here. Right now we have nothing plugged in other than the power supply. The monitor will power on, but other than that. This multimeter I bought at Harbor Freight years ago. It was like 40 or 50 bucks, and I've never had it fail on me or had any problems with it. You can get one of those nice fluke ones for a couple $100, but I personally don't. I don't do like I don't do any board work or anything like that. It's not like I need a real expensive one. So if you guys are in the market for a meter and you're not doing major things, you know, kind of like what I'm doing, this will get you by just fine. It's got a continuity test. It's got AC, DC volts. You could check, you know, ohms and stuff like that with it. So you can do pretty much anything you need to do with it. So let's check our 5 volts. That's the most important. .4, and that does not alarm me, because once it goes through all these wires and everything and gets to the board, into the chips, we're probably going to be right around 5 volts. But I will take it down just a hair to maybe 5.2, because I think 5.4 might be a hair high. 5.3. And we'll leave it there. And then let's check our 12 volts. 12.6. Okay, we're good. So let's turn it back off. Let's plug in our power supply. We still need to run ground wires and stuff like that. These ground straps, I'm going to run one probably to the board here, to that screw. Maybe even run one over to here, to the metal bracket right there. And these only go one way, so if you can't plug them in backwards. So if it plugs in here, it won't plug in here. But I got a pin that's sticking out. The one pin right here is sticking out. This yellow wire to push through for some reason. I don't know why. I wonder if I can get it on there. Yeah, it went on. It's just tight. And the sense wire is not plugged in, which I don't know if I'm going to put that back on or not. I don't think we need it. I don't think you need it when you're using this power supply. Okay, that's those 2 wires. And we'll put these on like that and get them all nice and straight. And then this is our power. Whatever this is here. Okay, that's on. Now let's get this board box opened up with the boards, and I haven't even opened it yet. I've been real busy. Just came back on Friday. Today is Sunday. So, and it's getting kind of late, so I want to get this playing, and then from there I will nice packaging job. We'll end this video after we get it playing. Actually, a really nice box and really nice packaging. I'm going to hang on to that in case I ever need to send one of these boards out again. This is the perfect size for an MCR boards, so I like that. Save this bag too. I always like to save these pink bags. So what he said he did was the sound chips were both bad or something like that, which I don't know if these are them or not. But he changed the caps on the boards, just this soundboard, and he did. He said he went over about 300 solder connections on the back side. I guess he went over everything, made sure everything was soldered good. So let's get this plugged in, and we will fire this game up, and we will see if we have sound. Everything else, I believe, was working just fine on the game when I got the game. So what we're going to do, I think, I'm just going to plug this in outside the cabinet. I'm going to test it like that, because I'm just going to go ahead and unplug it afterwards, because I need to get this all mounted correctly and everything. So I'm not going to go too crazy with it. This is our video cable, which goes right here. I don't know if you guys can see. Yep. Okay, this is our video board. Center board's our video board. These should be all our soundboard connections. This one goes here, I believe. Nope, 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 down here. Okay, this is our middle one. This one's gonna go right here. There are little pins in here, so you can only plug them in one direction. This one goes on the end here, just like that. And then we have one more plug, which is on the opposite side of the board. And this is our big plug. This is our power and everything. And this, once again, has a little pin in there, so you can only plug it in one direction. If you don't have those pins, you better be sure that you plug it in the right direction, or you're going to send power. You know, I could probably just lay this in here. Make sure it's not touching anything metal or any loose or bare wires. Just going to kind of just let it sit right there on its own. We'll put this cabinet, we'll move it a little bit so that we can get ready to fire this thing up and see what happens. I still got to plug in the control panel, but that's okay. We can at least turn the game on. Just raising the tripod here real quick. Okay, let's get this cabinet spun over a little bit. That should be fine. Let's come around here, turn off my headlamp, and we will turn on the interlock switch and see what we got. I don't know if this game makes noise or not on startup. Looks like our fluorescent light on. I hear some noise. Oh, you know what? I should probably check the sound pot, because it's just dangling down here. I have to resolder it to the old sound pot, because the old one's probably just fine. Okay, it was cranked, so I have it turned down somewhat. Okay, let's just coin it up first, see what it does. Okay, we have sound. Beautiful. Okay, we get the control panel. We'll just plug it in and just set it in place for now. And we'll try it out. Make sure I get the right plug, because I don't have the coin door in here, so once again it should only plug in. Okay, it's this one. Alright, okay, we're plugged in. We have credits. Let's see what happens here. Let me turn off this other light. Does that look a little better now? Yeah, a little bit. I got the overhead lights on, but it should be all right. Okay, let's see what happens here. Sweet. And this also has a fast speed. Sounds good. What's funny with this game is the bullets only go so far. It's not like a lot of games where the bullet will, you know, go the whole way across the screen. It's kind of hard to play this when the control panel is moving all over the place. I don't know what the settings are at on this either. Sounds like, oops, sounds like all the sounds are working good. Those stupid things. Phase 1 complete. I think this is a bonus rack. Oh, it's right, I'm on a timer. Shoot. Darn it. That thing goes fast. And outrun the guy. Hit the wrong button. Should have fired. Walked right into him. Game over. AAA, and let's see if this saves the high scores. It should, because that power supply board has the, there's extra credits on here. This is the only thing I was wondered about. What is that at the bottom? Is that supposed to say something? It is supposed to say something. Now, is that because the monitor is screwed up at the bottom, or is there something screwed up with one of the chips on the board? That I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to kind of watch some gameplay on YouTube or something and see if what that actually says down there. But I think it definitely is supposed to say something. But other than that, I don't see anything wrong. You'll get a little bit of garbage here and there, but that's the MCR. All those games have it, and sometimes you can, you know, adjust it off screen. I'll see if, like at the top corner up there, there's a little bit of flashing going on. You can probably move the screen over here, because if you look, it looks like we're almost too far this way. We might be able to widen it up a little bit, maybe raise it up too a little bit to get it a little bit more centered. Looks like it's a little off, and that could have happened either A, they never set it up correctly, or when I drove it home in the van bouncing around, you know, those controls could get, you know, they can wiggle around a little bit. But I'm happy it's working. I don't see really anything wrong, other than that one screen has that purple at the bottom, and I don't even know what that is, or what, if it's just supposed to say Midway Games or something on it. I don't know. So let me turn it off and back on. Let's see if it saves the high score. Let me just get out of there. So the high score is 12,450. So I'm going to turn it off for a minute. We'll let it stay off for a few, just to make sure all the power is drained out of it. But this is awesome, because now we can get the rest of this thing together. I still have to find artwork for this metal plate that goes on here that blew off, and I lost a whole lot of the artwork on both sides. So hopefully I find that. And I'm really torn on this joystick. I kind of like it red. I don't know why. Maybe because there's red on the side art, and the you know, the airplanes and stuff, the jets are all red. Maybe that's why I like it red. I might just leave it. I do have a black handle. It's not a big deal to switch this handle to black. I do have one, but I don't know if I am. I might just take this Tron off of here. Just put a piece of black vinyl over it, take this apart, pull this out, put a piece of black vinyl and put it back in there. There is supposed to be some sort of a design on there. It's not the Gorf design, though. It's definitely a different design. But for now, we can just leave it straight black like I did on the Satan's Hollow. I think on the Satan's Hollow, this old game makes that piece. I should probably order it. It'll probably take a while to get. I don't know if it's vinyl or if he screen prints it. Seems like anything screen printed takes a long time. Vinyl is only a week or two. It takes them for the most part. Seems like. So let's turn this back on and see if we have a high score saved. Let's see what happens here. Pretty happy with the way the monitor looks too. Very minor adjustments. Like I said, I think I want to center it a little bit more, bring it up a little higher. It's definitely a little low to me. So we'll bring that up. Do a little color adjustments. The red might be up a hair too high. It looks like it's pretty bright, the red. Maybe we'll tone that down a little bit. Black level looks good to me. The screen looks pretty black. Obviously in the camera it's a little grayer looking, but that's all right. And plus I have a light on behind me. So now I'm just waiting for it to go through the screen here and see if it goes to the high score and see if it saves my 12,450, I think it was. If it's going to show the high score screen or not. It should. I would think. Maybe, maybe not. I think it's already done this screen once. See, all the characters and everything on here look fine. You have that little bit of garbage on the right side of the screen. Like I was telling you, that's how a lot of these MCR games are. My Tron has it. My Journey has it. I was able to kind of move the screen over on some of those. Nope, it did not save my high score, which is weird. Why would it not save my high score? Well, that's something for the future. I'll figure that out. But all right, guys, this is going to end part 3 of the Solar Fox. Figured I'd show you guys. I got the board back the other day. I wanted to get it in here and working. The guy was nice enough to get it done for me within a few days, so I wanted to make sure that I put it in here, got it working, because I didn't want him to rush on his end and then all of a sudden I have it sitting here in a box for 3 weeks. You know what I mean? So I wanted to get it in here, make sure it worked, and go from there. So now, you know, this week we'll get this control panel stripped down. We'll get it repainted. We'll put the new overlay on it and put this will be ready to go on the cabinet. We can put the glass in it after we gotta clean all this cardboard and everything is very dusty. I gotta put a marquee light in. We can do that. I have the plug right here for it, so I'm gonna have to, if my marquee light I have for it doesn't have a plug end, we'll put a plug end on it. We have to fix the plug end on the monitor because somebody put 2 butt connectors into the plug end and just shoved them in there. So we're going to fix that the right way. We're going to put pins in there the proper way, so that'll be plugged in right, because we don't need one of those wires falling out or shorting or arcing inside this plug and eventually melting the plug. You know, and then we can work on the coin door, get that in. And what I was thinking on the coin door was, let me take you over here for a second. I don't know if I can do it or not yet. I haven't really looked at it, but we can look at it right now. I wonder if, rather than drilling a hole or not putting the lock in there and putting a button in the lock hole, I don't really like that. What I'm thinking, are these returns just spring loaded when the I almost wonder if I can somehow put a button behind one of these so that when you hit the return button, return coin button, it hits the credit button. So that would be nice, because I got to do something. I don't, like I said, I don't really want to drill a hole into the coin door. I can. If I do drill a hole in it, I can always weld it back in. That's not a big deal. But I'd rather just not. I know some of these older Midway coin doors actually had a spot here where you can pop out the metal and put a button there. This one has the coin counter right there. But if I have to, what's going on here? If I have to drill a little hole somewhere, I'll probably just put it here, right above the lock. It'll just be a little red push button like they have on here on the tapper. I'll just put one of these little buttons on here if I have to, into the coin door. Worst case scenario, I ever want to get rid of it, or say I sell the cabinet down in the future and they want it to work on quarters and they don't want that button there, I can easily weld it in and just paint it up again. So all right guys, that's going to end part 3 of the Solar Fox. If you guys are liking what you're seeing, please like, subscribe, other than that, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to ask, and I will see you guys later.